What's going on, everybody? LK here, back at it again with another video, and today some more Dragon Ball FighterZ for y'all. So I'm gonna do this again. So earlier this week, I talked about Broly a little bit, just talked about a couple points that I think people overlook when talking about my friend Z-Buddy, as I like to call him. He's a very popular character in this version, and there are also a lot of people playing him in DBFZ Nationals, in the various regions, mostly in the US, and I think Spain has a couple of Broly players. So today I'm gonna give you guys another chance and share some counterplay for Broly. I actually made a counterplay video for Bardock and it didn't do as well as I thought it was, so I hope, emphasis on hope, that people who watch this channel want to learn how to beat the stuff they hate and not just complain about it. There's a lot of characters I hate fighting in this game, but I complain and then I learn how to smoke them. So then when someone plays them, I can talk shit about them while beating them up. And of course, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and like this video. It does help the channel grow and I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. So first we have to think about team comps with Broly. So the most popular, and I'm mentioning this because there was a point I made in the video I released earlier this week about Broly where someone was like, oh, you know, he doesn't do a lot of damage off Ki Blast, that's why I play him on point so I can use my assist to do more damage. This is true. This can be done, but for the most part, point Broly is pretty uncommon. So the most common builds you'll see for Broly look something like this, actually. So it'll either be point character, middle character, Broly, or point character, Broly, anchor character. For the most part, we're assuming he's going to be using the A assist. In Spain, they're actually using his C assist a lot, which is an armor assist. But remember that C assist, the general thing you want to try to do is just stay away from them. They have a lot of recovery and cooldown, especially like an extra long cooldown, so they have to be kind of careful about using it. For the most part, everyone should be using this eraser blow assist, which is still a pretty crazy assist. So let's talk about his A assist first. So again, this is it. So the main thing about it is that it beats Ki Blast. It also does not have a lot of blocks on. It's 21 frames. It's pretty low in the scope of the game. There's not a lot of assists that have less blocks on than this. This has a couple of implications. For starters, there's not that many mix-ups outright you can do with the assist. So for example here, I have like Roshi Beam, right? So we all know that you can do like Super Dash, land low, air dash high with beam assist. But if you try this with Broly, it is much harder to do and much harder to time. When you consider how advantage works as well, when you do a move and you special cancel it into Broly, you have really low frame advantage compared to doing other higher blocks on assists. So for the most part, the main thing you would have to look for would be your standard overhead plus assist, calling him, and then like your Dragon Rush style of offense. The next reason why team comp matters is what will happen when he comes into play. If they have him as an anchor, like I do, they're planning on this to happen in the game, where he's alone with Limit Break. If they have him as a middle, they plan for what's happening on the player 2 side, to have him with an assist. Broly with an assist, you're generally considering Broly plus Beam. Broly plus Beam is very strong and very easy. He gets to play his neutral game and he has a beam support, so he can stop some pretty common counterplay very, very easy. Now, when Broly has another type of assist, and the main one we saw last season for a good example is the kill stage playing Broly and Tingohan, right? So Tingohan is a DP assist, but this means you also have to get close. So actually, I like defensive assists like DPs and Roshi for Broly, but this also means that he has to get next to you in order to use his assist, so he won't be able to play his full screen game the way he would if he had a beam available. So first, the Ki Blast, of course. So this Ki Blast we talked about before, it's in the fastest group of Ki Blasts, it's huge, and it beats other Ki Blasts. You have a few things you can do against this. You have your Beam, of course, that beats Ki Blast. So Beam is a higher projectile level than Ki Blast, so you could do that. You can try to Super Dash, very risky, of course. If you can't, you could try to Super Dash from a place that's difficult for him to react to you super dashing. So as opposed to here, if you can get to like here or like to the middle of the screen like here, it'll be much harder for him to react. Also, you want to pay attention to how many Ki Blasts your opponent likes to fire. If you remember from previous videos when I talked about how to control the screen with Ki Blasts, when you fire a full clip of Ki Blasts like this, it's much easier to super dash through that than if the opponent is only firing like 2 or so. For Broly, the sweet spot is kind of like 2 or 3 Ki Blasts. There's some property on this where it's like the Broly player can see the super dash coming, but because of like how much time you have on the ki blast specifically, it can be kind of hard to 2H unless you fire only a couple. This makes it safe to kind of dice roll super dash if you see them unloading the full clip a lot and they don't have 3 bars. If you have a ki invincible move like this, that's a really good option. Or if you have a ki invincible assist, it's also a really good option. If you're Chad like me and you play Master Roshi, you could just ignore the ki blast totally and hit this move various ways. Like this, or like this. Now, if for whatever reason you don't have tools like this, then what you're going to be trying to do is probably close the gap. It's scary, kind of, because it is Broly, but eventually, especially if you're behind, you have to do something. If you have the lead and he's camping you with ki blast, you could just sit there and just aim to dash and build up a little meter so that you can play the game later. But if you're behind, you kind of have to do something. So what people generally try to do is get up and above them. So what I mean is, of course he can aim these like this, right? So these would like lock you down. But if he's going like this, it will not stop that. In order to stop that, they have to guess immediately the up ki blast to keep you in place, which they usually won't. They want to keep you on the ground, so you can start dice rolling dash. Once you get to like the middle of the screen, it's hard / he probably won't and shouldn't throw ki blast at you. So next we'll talk about Eraser Ball. So this actually is pretty easy to deal with. You could actually level 1 through this quite easily with whatever tool your character has. Make sure you check with your character, of course. Another pretty important point is how to deal with his jab. He has a pretty large jab. It reaches pretty far. Having a good jab is important in this game. It hits pretty high in the air as well. You may or may not recall that they had to buff this jab so it hit lower because it would not hit small characters before. But there's still kind of a lingering thing where you can actually hit under this pretty consistently. And there's a spot where if I press like a move that reaches his jab, I'll get hit like here. If I press like a 2L instead, I can go under it. The move you want to use definitely depends on your character, and characters with long sliding 2Ms get to take advantage of this the most. So characters like Roshi, so here, same thing, but then, okay, that's 5M again, and then 2M. So characters like Roshi, my quote-unquote favorite character in the game, Adult Gohan, Trunks, they could all take advantage of this with their 2M. 2M is a medium starter, so returns really high. So next would be dealing with the tackle. The tackle normally is -9, so you get a punish after it. They're all -9, so even the medium one, EX1, they're all -9. If he does the EX or medium versions and it whiffs, you can punish with a super dash. These moves are also quite punishable on reflect as well. Of course, you have to check depending on your character. Some characters can't traverse that distance fast enough, so make sure you check that. If he's in like a situation where he could use it to cash out and kill, so for instance, if he has a lot of meter, if he has assists available, if he's in limit break, then you should look for him to go for it at least once because the return is high. Remember to always consider risk return on these things. So the big thing here would be then how to deal with it as a reversal. So it's a 4-frame reversal. It is very important that you practice 4-frame reversals against the cast in general who have them, because they've been making them better and better overall as time has gone on. So Broly is really good after blocking overheads and after blocking vanish especially. So a really common thing you can do is to do a string with 2 fast buttons and then vanish. That will make it so that if he doesn't do it, then you just keep your turn. If he does it, then you will be safe. Here you only get a little advantage. You can't really punish him, but you're also not getting hit and having him turn the game around, so that's fine. Now, certain characters might have other special countermeasures they could use specifically against him because he has a slow jab, it's 7 frames, and this. Bardock's a pretty good example because he has L-spin, and Gotenks a pretty good example as well. Gotenks might be the best example in the game of how to fight it with a character. So he has EX hands, so it's going to be 9 frames, but you're +2. So in this case, if you use EX hands after the vanish and he jabs, you'll win. Even though they hit at the same time, the special move will win. If he does the 4-frame, the duration of EX hands is long enough that it goes through the armor, because armor is a duration of frames, and then you could get a combo. So if your character has a multi-hitting move, you could try using that. If you don't want to use EX hands, you use normal hands. and confirm into a level 3. This, of course, is a much more expensive solution overall. I'm just sharing it because other characters could do stuff like this as well. So the last thing I want to talk about then is defense. So he has a unseeable command grab, as we talked about before, and he has the medium and EX command grab that he can combo off of as well. So the place I would like to start is, like, you can treat it like Dragon Rush because it's a throw, but you can't use the same responses. So you can't 2H him out of this, for instance. So you'd have to pick some different options, right? So for instance, Super Dash would be a really good response. It gets you out of the air and you'd have to, like, kind of call it by delaying his normals. If you get good at calling it with Super Dash and he has to alter his strings, so this would hit the Super Dash, which means you could mash back, reflect, whatever. Of course, if you have an invincible move, you could just do that. This, of course, is probably the riskiest option, but you have to show it occasionally. Again, this is a pretty direct interaction between the players on offense and defense. Outside of doing stuff that you would do against Dragon Rush that would put you airborne, like delay vanish, delay super dash, things like that, you can try a delayed jump as well. This is a little bit harder for the attacking player to target too. It actually does not look that much different from a jump straight up. It's just like slightly delayed. We call this fuzzy jump. It's a fighting game technique that's used in many fighting games. So in this recording, using delayed jumps at the same timing, I'm going to block the low, because most people would say you would use the low to stop you from jumping, and then I will jump to throw 100% of the time. If you want to make this so that you get a punish, you could use delay jump super dash, delay jump key blast into a special move, which I see a lot of people do in my region right now. So for him to counter this, he has to stagger you or extremely delay his strings so much that you should be able to, like, reflect or mash his strings. So here I'm doing the delay jump. This time I got hit. This time I'm blocking in the air. Usually once people start targeting delay jump, it creates an actual kind of rock, paper, scissors triangle between the attacker and the defender. So the most important thing is to make sure you stay unpredictable on defense. Now also make sure you consider risk return as well. So his L command grab does 1500 normally. Plus a level 1. You get around 33 to 35%. Mid-screen, he actually can't do the slow level 1, so he has to do this. He actually has to spend another bar to get the slow level 1 here. Mid-screen, technically, they shouldn't be using the M command grab. They should be using the EX one. This with a really simple combo is about 36, 35%. With an assist, we're probably looking at 40%. In the corner, again, around the same thing. Going straight into level 3 off L grab is around 50-ish%. In limit break, it's over like 55%. So just keep these numbers in mind. And the reason is, if you have a lot of life, it could be okay to not bank on a big risk and try to just see how they think you're going to defend for a little while. But if you're in a spot where you can die from a grab, then you might have to take a risk. Similarly, if it's like a solo Broly, but you have your whole team, you might not necessarily have to take a risk, or you can flip it and be like, I can take a big risk because I have my whole team available still. Both are valid options. Now, something I should have mentioned earlier is that a lot of people complain about this because it's an armor grab. I think it's actually kind of stupid as an armor grab too. What this takes away from you compared to normal grabs is that you can't delay mash ever. If you're like mashing, you will actually beat it. But if you're delay mashing, which would normally work on other grabs, it will not work on him. So if you want to mash on the grab, you have to hard commit and just mash. Okay, hopefully that helped. This character is, I think he's pretty fun to play, and he does kind of slow down the neutral game, but a lot of people don't actually know how to deal with his stuff. There's like, oh, this has armor, that has armor. So I hope these pieces of advice help you out a little bit. If you know all these things, then you're probably already pretty good against the character. All the stuff he has beyond this involves like using assists to kind of make situations stronger / rougher for the opponent, which is a pretty standard thing across the game. If you have any questions and comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Like and subscribe if you feel like it, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.